Shall we start, children? On the day I left some incomplete work in tenses. Now we have done present tense, simple present tense, present continuous, present perfect continuous. One table is over. Second table is simple past tense, past continuous, past perfect continuous tense. So the two tenses are over. Now we go on to the simple future tense, we will see. Simple future tense is quite complicated, but it is very easy if you learn. That is all, it denotes the future action of everything. I will be, I will go home tomorrow, I will leave this place. That means hereafter, in future. Do you understand? He will leave this place tomorrow. All the future actions denotes simple future. Now in that simple future we have the four categories, that is simple future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous. Why I did not write this? Because this is not in use at present. Future continuous tense is not in use at present, but even then we will have to write that and you will have to know about that. I shall or will have been completing my work. So I did not give that much importance to this particular tense. Now this is, sometimes they say it is omitted. The same thing, past perfect continuous tense is not in use. These two tenses are not in use in common, so they are omitted. Now we will see to this. Simple future, I shall, first person, or we will. You can use either shall or will for this simple future tense. Next one is second person, you shall. Then third person, I taught you already, she, he, it, they, these are all third person. First person, second person, third person. Now this can be used adding shall or will. You can use either shall or will. This is the first table in simple future. Now we go on to the future continuous tenses. I will be singing, we will be singing. The will be singing is the future continuous tense. You have to add be and ing. Be and ing. Future continuous. The same way you shall be singing. Second person, she shall or will. Can either use these two words, will be singing. That is future continuous. All this third person, he, she, it, they have the continuous tense. You can either select shall or will. I have given you the option. So that is future continuous tense. Now we go to the future perfect tense. We will have completed the work. Will have. I will have completed the work in first person. The same follows, you will have completed in the second person, and third person, she will have completed, that is known as future perfect tense. Now we go on to the future perfect continuous is I shall have been. See, very complicated. So the grammarians said this is not that much important for us. I shall have been completing. We will have been completing our work. The same way you will have been completing. This is second person you, and then the same way she will or he or they or it. They will have been completing the work. So these are the fundamental rules of the tenses we see. Now we go to the next side in poems. I hope you have understood the present tense, past tense and future tense. The three categories are very important. Though we do not have that in the syllabus, let us know the fundamental rules of grammar. Now we come to this particular poem where I am going to read that poem. You have to listen very carefully. A woman is beauty innate. When I say those lines, repeat the lines. If you have a book, a symbol of power and strength. Again I am saying power means supremacy, all powerful. She puts her life at stake. Underline the word stake and write risk. She is real, she is not fake. Real means a genuine person. She is not a duplicate. Fake means duplicate. Have you understood the 4 words? Innate means inborn beauty, in natural beauty. You can say inborn or natural beauty. Power and strength. I hope you understand the word strength, strong person, strength. Now power means supremacy. She puts her life is at stake, at risk, though her life is at risk. She is a real person. She doesn't pretend. She doesn't put up any pretension. She is real, she is a genuine person, and she is not a duplicate person, a mother, a sister, or anyone grandmother, aunt, whoever it may be. She is a real person. Her attitude will be very real. Now the next 4 lines is, I told you already, spring, dear, near, fear. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is B, 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 A, B, B, B. She always sees spring, the forthcoming future she sees in spring. What will happen in future she will see in summer itself. The development of her life will be seen in the spring season. After spring season you have the summer, the autumn and the winter. So she is getting ready for her future plans in spring season itself. She makes all arrangements for the future plans of her family in spring itself. That means she is very cautious. She is very methodical. She is very calculative. That is how she runs the family. That is the explanation for those lines. She says spring will come again, my dear. She is not getting discouraged by any flaws in her family. That means if anything happens, misfortunes happens, she is not set, she doesn't have the setback. She is able to look through it and she sees that future is bright for her. Now we go on, she is the woman. That kind of woman we see is the woman the poetess want. That kind of encouragement, that kind of courage, that kind of determination a woman should have, she says. Some people feel very weak. When they see something depressing, they go and do some unwanted thing. That, she says, overcome all the difficulties. That is the second stanza. Third stanza is persistence. The word persistence is used again because here we see determination. Here summer, they will ask the meaning. Write the meaning for summer. There you have to write development. Here persistence. What is the meaning for persistence? They will ask. You have to write determination. A woman has a determined spirit. Is the key to everything. That is determination. When you see everything, self-confidence, courage, strength, bravery, all this sum up together, that is known as determination. If you have this determination, you can overcome everything. So that is what the poem speaks about, children. Now I read the whole paragraph for you given at the back. 86 paragraph number 8, page number 86, the paragraph is, every woman is beautiful innate. Innate means inborn. She has an inborn quality. She is the symbol of power and strength. She prones to put her life at risk. Every woman is true in expressing her love and she is never a fake. She is very optimistic in her approach even at times of adversity. She finds a ray of hope and she continues to care for her near ones. She is the woman and she has no fear. She doesn't have any fear of facing any problem. She is forceful in her faith and belief. She is never a quitter and she is persistent. She is ferocious. Ferocious means wild. That is known as wild animals have that word attached, very ferocious, very angry. She is ferocious like a lioness. It is better for the prankster. Prankster means a person who is mischievous. To stay away from her. Never should one try to bring disgrace to her pride and self-respect. You should never go and tease or insult her. She knows how to thaw and saw them. She is today's woman. It is healthy to love her, respect her and keep her dignified. This is the paragraph answer you can take for that poem. Now we see here the next one, supplementary. the story of Mulan. Here, this is the classic story of Mulan. The character here is the classic story of Mulan. We see that the third unit supplementary is here. The story of Mulan. The characters here is Mulan. This complete story is attached to the poem. We can see all kind of bravery, courageous person in this particular supplementary. We can find this girl is very brave and she disguises herself as a man and enters the war front. The emperor doesn't know that she is a girl, but in spite of all the odds and difficulties she faces in the camp, she is able to bring honor and victory to her own mother country. That is how she brings all honor, and she is praised by the emperor and she is given lot of gifts. Now we see to the story how interesting how this woman take parts in the war. This is the classic story of Mulan based on the legend of Hugh Mulan. A legend is a story from long ago that is believed to be true or mostly true. It may be a true story, but we believe that it is mostly a true story. Now we see the main characters. Many years ago, China, though this particular story takes place in China in the middle of Great War. The emperor said that one man from each Chinese family must leave his family to join the army. So the emperor issues a proclamation telling that one person from each family, and that too a man, must take part in the war, must leave his family and take part in the war that is going on. That was the order from the emperor to join the army. Mulan, a teenage girl in between 16 to 20, that is teenage, who lived in a faraway village of China, heard the news when she was outside washing clothes. So when this was proclaimed, when Tandoram சொல்றோம்ல நம்ம அப்படியே இந்த ஊர்ல போய் தண்டோரம் போடுறாங்க, that is known as proclamation given by the emperor. So when she heard that the news that one person from a family, that to a male person, must take part in the war, she hears the news and while she was washing her clothes by the riverside, she reaches home. Mulan ran into the house. Her father was sitting in a chair carving a piece of wood. So he was interested in carpentry. So her father, who is an aged person, was carving a wooden table, or wooden, take for something a wooden chair or a wooden table. Father, she said, did you hear what the emperor says? Each family must do. So she asked her father, did you hear the news that what the emperor has said, that each one should take part in the war? Yes, said her old father. Underline the word old father. I heard about it in town. When I went to the town, people were talking about this and I heard it. Well, I may as well go pack up. He put down his carving, stood up and walked very slowly to his room. So he was an old man. He wanted to take part in the war. Though he was very old, he could not go, but even he must take part. Since he was a man, he must take part in that war. So he put down his tools and he started to walk inside the room to dress up and leave the house. Wait, said Mulan. So her daughter said, wait, father, you have not been well. You have been very sick for a long period. If I may say so, why at your age must you keep up with all those young men? You should not compare your age with a young man. All the young men can leave their family and take part in the war. But you cannot take part since you are very old and you are also very sick. So the daughter is very much concerned about her father's health and she doesn't want her father to take part in the war. What else can be done? Said her father. What can I do, ma? So he is asking a question. What is the other alternative we can do? He is asking his daughter. Your brother is a child, he cannot go. So your brother is a small child, he cannot go and take part. This is a question he puts forth to his daughter. Of course, that's true. I know that is true that my brother cannot take part in the war, said Mulan. He is too little. That means he must be 2 or 3 years old. But I have an idea. She poured her father a cup of tea and handed it to him. But I have an idea, father. Will you agree with that? I have just planned it and I am going to present it to you. You listen very carefully. She is instructing her father while she is pouring the tea for her father. Father, have some tea. Please sit for a minute. I will be right back. So she asks her father to take the cup of tea, and during that time she moves inside the room. I will be right back, she says, and she comes out. Very well, dear, said the father. Mulan went into her room with her sword. It should be pronounced as sword, though the word W-O-R-D. W must not be pronounced, it should be pronounced as sword. Sword and sollakudadu. It should be pronounced as sword. So, Mulan went into her room. With a sword, she cut off her long black. See what she does. She takes the sword and cuts her long. She had a very long hair. She cuts that hair. She puts on her father's robe. Immediately she goes inside the room. Her father was a military man. He was already taking part in the war. So his dress was hanging and she took that dress and she was about to wear it. Going back to her father, Mulan said, look at me. I am your son now. Now she has cut off her hair and she was looking like a boy with a man's attire. That is the army dress she was wearing, and she is asking her father, see, I am your son. I am not a daughter now. She is expressing herself. I will go in your place. I will do my part for China. So she said, you stay at home, father. I will take part in the war for my mother country, she says, and she is willing to leave. No, my daughter, said the old man, you cannot do this. Immediately her father warns that she is violating the rules of the army. So she says, no ma, you cannot do this. You cannot definitely do this. Father, listen please, she said with lot of determination. She says, now father, listen to what I say, said Mulan. For years you trained me in Kung Fu. Underline the word Kung Fu. So she said, I am not an ordinary person. Already you have trained me in this particular art, Kung Fu. You showed me how to use a sword. So you already taught me all the artistic way in this, and you know very well that how I should use a sword. Mulan swung the sword back and forth with might. So she moved. She just showed her skill by swinging the sword up and down, by telling her father how she can handle the sword very well. So she was a very brave person, I think so. She doesn't have the fear. So she is ready to face the enemies in the war front. Only so that you could stay safe, said her father. I never meant for you to go to war. If they find out you are a woman, you know as well as I do that you will die. So her father is telling, it is not that you take part, you can take part, but not as if they find out that you are a woman, they will kill you. Immediately you will die. These are the rules in the army, he says. But Mulan says, I am able to overcome all these odds and difficulties. So she doesn't bother about all these things, the threatening her father gives. She says, father, leave everything to me. She is a brave girl. No one will find out, father, said Mulan. She picked up her sword. So she was ready to leave. So she said, nobody will find out that I am a woman. So she took the sword and she departed from her house. Mulan, said the father. He tried to get up but had to hold on to his chair. Before he could get up, this girl left the house. The daughter kissed him goodbye. I love you, father, she said. Take care of yourself. Tell my brother I said goodbye. She climbed on a family horse and off she went to join the emperor's army. So she departed, bidding goodbye to her father, and she said, give my love to my little brother. So she was off on the horse. In the army, Mulan proved to be a very brave soldier. She did not reveal her identity at all, and she proved to be a brave soldier more than men who performed there. In time, she was put in charge of other soldiers. See what happens here. She is placed as a head captain of some of the soldiers. Some soldiers were under her who were getting training from Mulan. So, this is the way God raises anyone who is weak. He makes them strong. In time, she was put in charge of other soldiers. It's very difficult to take a rank like that, having the soldiers, a woman having the soldiers under her. Her battles went on so well that she was put in charge of more soldiers. So, when the emperor saw that this girl was fighting, he doesn't know she was a girl, but even then, now for the story I am telling, though she was a girl, she fought bravely in the war front and many soldiers were put under her. She was the leader of that particular battalion. Her battles kept on going well. Everything went on well. Each battle she carried out was very successful and victorious. After a few years, Mulan was given the top job. She would be general of the entire army. After a few years, she was there for a long time. Few years passed. They were impressed by her performance in the war and she was placed as the general of the army. It's very difficult to reach that post, but Mulan's bravery and courage and determination, all those things made her the general. The emperor was impressed by her complete work and he gave her the post of general. So, Mulan became the general of the army. Not long after that, a very bad fever swept through. There was a, now you see the pandemic here, corona, just like that, a fever, a viral fever that spread along the complete entire army. So, they did not know, many people were falling sick. It was a very contagious fever. So, everybody was falling sick. Many soldiers were sick and Mulan, the general of the army, became sick too. Naturally, that fever caught her also. So, she became very sick. Mulan was very sick. When the doctor came out of Mulan's tent, he knew the truth. So, who examined? The doctor must go and examine Mulan. So, when he came out, he came to know that Mulan was not a man, she was a girl. The doctor only knew the truth. So far, nobody knew that she was a girl. Only this man, the doctor, came to know that Mulan was a girl. Here the problem starts. The general is, when the doctor came out of Mulan's tent, he knew the truth. The general is a woman, yelled the soldiers. Somehow the news leaked out and the soldiers all said the general is a woman. So far, so many days we did not know that Mulan was a girl. We thought that she was a man. How can this be? Some called out. She tricked us and we will not fight for a woman, they said. Punish her, make her pay, the cost is for her to die. But others called out in voices just as loud, with Mulan we win every battle, they said. Stay away from her. One part of that army which was under her, they were totally against Mulan. They said, we cannot serve under a woman. See the prestige issue that follows here. They don't want to serve under a woman. So they said, this girl must be punished severely and must be put to death. Another part of that army said, no, she is very loyal and very honest. With her, we won many battles in the war front. So she will be our general forever. This was the other side opinion of the army people. Just then a soldier ran up. Everyone, he called. A surprise attack is coming. So just then a soldier came and told, now we are going to have a surprise attack from the enemy side. So we have to get prepared and we have to face the war, the fight. So in spite of all their weakness and sickness, they have to take part in this war. Mulan heard this from inside her. So she was lying there and she was hearing all the commotion that is going on outside her tent. When she heard that there was going to be another war, she got dressed and went out. Immediately, she had all the courage to get up and she forgot her fever and weakness and she got dressed up. She was not yet strong. See, even though she was not strong, she stood tall. That means she said, for my country, I will lay my life. That is where she stands. She stood tall, very brave. She was ready to face. In spite of all her weakness and her strength was failing, she said, no, I am going out and I am going to lead the army and fight for my mother country. She told the soldiers where they must go to hide so they could attack when the enemy came. So she gave orders for all the soldiers to go and hide in their secret places so that they can attack the enemy and win the war. This is what the instruction given by Mulan. She did not deter from her work. She did not go back. She did not retreat from her work. She went forward and she gave instruction in spite of all the trouble she was facing in the army. She gave instructions then and there to ask the people to go and hide in their hideouts so that they can attack the army very well and win the war. But they must get there fast. So she hurried them, go fast. She made them go in such a way that they all went fast. The soldiers, even those who did not like that, the general was a woman. So the soldiers on the other side who were opposing her, since she was a woman, also obeyed her order and command. Could tell that Mulan knew what she was talking about. So they very well knew that this general would definitely bring victory for their country. It worked. The battle was won. They fought in such a way, with Mulan giving each and every minute details of instruction. The soldiers followed, and finally the battle was won. It was a very tough battle, but even then Mulan instructed them to go in such a way that they were able to win the war. It was such a big victory that the enemy gave up at last. The enemies could not stand the force of this Chinese warriors, so they gave up. Finally they gave up. The war was over and China was saved. Finally, Mulan, with the help of Mulan and the warriors who were very brave, saved China from the enemy's attack. You can be sure that after that last battle, no one cared anymore that Mulan was. So from that time onwards, when this battle was a very, very severe and difficult battle, they never thought that they would win. But because of Mulan, they won. They never thought that Mulan was a woman. They thought that she must be a man. She had all the courage and strength of a man to fight the enemy. So they praised her and they all showered blessings on her. The emperor was so glad. You must see that the emperor was completely glad, very happy. When he heard the news that the war was won, the emperor was all in praise of the general Mulan. That Mulan had ended the long war. It was a long war that was going on. I told you already, Mulan was away from her home for so many years. So that was a long drawn war, and he was happy that the war ended and they won the war victoriously. He set aside the rule about being a woman. When they went and told the emperor that Mulan was a woman, he did not care about that at all. All that he saw was Mulan's bravery and courage. He saw only that she did not bother about whether she was a woman or a man. He did not give importance to that womanly attitude, and the people who went and told about Mulan were ashamed, were put to shame, because the emperor did not give importance to that word at all. Mulan, stay with me in the palace. Immediately the emperor said, stay with me. So she was given a request. Mulan, stay with me for some time. Stay in my palace. You be my advisor. You be the general of the army. You help me. All these requests were placed one after the other before Mulan. Someone as smart as you would be a fine royal advisor. So I told you, no. So the emperor liked us so much, and he said, Mulan, you be with me. You will be the royal advisor. You will be my personal advisor, and you will be hailed as the general of this army. So you stay with me. What did Mulan say? Mulan bowed deeply. You are too kind, sire. She said, you are very kind and you are very loving also, sir. But if you please, what I wish most of all is to return home to my wife. So she places a request before the emperor, telling, I must return to my family. Why? Because she has to take care of her old father and her little brother. That was pressing. That was the need of the hour. That was the demand. So she was telling, I must leave this place and go and look after my family. All my responsibilities are over, and I have won a very great victory for our mother country. So you better understand my position and leave me. Then at least take these fine gifts. Finally the emperor was very pleased, and he gave lot of gifts for her. Such fine gifts for Mulan to be taken home, said the emperor. So everyone at your home and village will know how much the emperor of China thinks of you. How much? So he says, take all these gifts on the horses. This will follow you to your home place where your people, the village people will honor you and praise you, how much the Chinese emperor has elevated you to such a level, has such an honor, and he has placed you in a dignified way.